An innocent young girl from the Eastern Cape with big dreams, physically abused by her mother and uncle. 15-year-old Nosipho found refuge in her brother's gangster friend. Protector soon became a rapist. Two-time suicide survivor, Nosipho's road to recovery only cemented by a single pillar of strength, her best friend and husband. This is how we cope. I'm Hugo Ribatika. Behind every successful man is a woman, and behind every successful woman is a pillar of strength. Hello and welcome to Cope. In the studio today, two absolutely amazing individuals. Mbulelo and Nosipho, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Thank you for welcoming us.
Thank you for having us.
Mbulelo, first question for you. First impressions when you saw Nosipho?
First impressions, that was a while back. That was still in varsity. But I would say strong, confident, and a helper. Because the way that she dealt with the teammates and the way that she took on the leadership role in her basketball team was something that you would want to relate to a mother. So that was the first impression. Besides the other aspects of a male, being a male, obviously being attracted to a woman. But besides that, that was what I saw.
We gathered that there's a little song you sang.
No song. Yeah, I'm joking. It was more to try and relax and create an atmosphere of happiness during the moment. But the song is just a hip hop song, and it's sang by the Young Twins. I'll leave the viewers to just Google that one.
Are you at least going to give us a title?
It's called Bounce Booty.
All right. Now, Nosipho, you have quite the story. 15, 18, and 20 years of age. Three very significant years or periods in your life. Please take us through that.
Well, Nosipho at 15, Nosipho was very lost. She was confused, she was bitter, she was very angry, and she started becoming an angry human being based on everything that happened at home. I'm originally from Eastern Cape, 102 Dubla Street in New Brighton. So basically our vicinity, we surrounded by Amaginza. And that was my life. But I had my grandmother. I stayed with my grandmother, my mom, who gave birth to me, and her uncle. My uncle is in her brother. Yeah. So, and then I've got an older brother. But throughout my years, I was physically abused by my mom and my uncle. We stayed in a 3-bedroom house, and then in the 3-bedroom house, especially over the weekends, I would sit close to the door because there was 2 different doors at home. So I would stay close to the door so that whoever between my uncle and my mom comes in first, I walk out, because I knew that they would pick up anything they would find their hands on and then throw it to me.
Was this because of anything you'd done?
To be honest, I don't know, and I've tried to ask that question to myself several years, but I've never had an answer. But one thing that I've picked up was that she hated me. I don't know what happened to her in her younger days before I was born or whatnot, but something happened to her. But at that time I didn't understand, because she didn't like a sight of me. When she would see me, I don't know, a tornado in her head would happen. And funny enough, she was a beautiful, tall woman. And people always tell me that I look like her, and my body structure is like her, but I've never known her. Later on, I realized that, okay, I was told just by bypass, oh, by the way, this is your mom. Because I grew up as a child. I remember at the age of 6, I thought she was my big sister. And my grandmother told me, oh, by the way, that's your mom. We never had a bond together as a mom and a daughter. And there was an 8-year gap in my entire life that I don't remember her, what was happening with her and all of that. Yeah, that was a story. And then going back to 18, After that, I find my refuge basically into sports. At school, I would play every sport. I would make sure that I get home late because I'm running away from everything that was happening at home. There's no sports that I've never played, like rugby, cricket, anything that I could get my hands on. And plus, it took my mind off what was happening at home because I didn't want to.
You still lived with your grandmother then?
Yes. My grandmother was still with me.
Offer you any protection?
She did. She did. The disadvantage at that time was that my grandmother was a teacher, so she worked during the week, and she would work in a farm. So during the week, we would not have her at home. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, she would be at home. That is why I knew from Monday to Thursday, I make sure that I am not at home. I come back at home late.
And somebody else that also protected you was your brother?
Yes, my brother did. He did his job to protect me in terms of, he's the elder, like we 10 years apart, and he didn't want anyone basically to touch me because of the environment we grew up in, and to a point where he became angry as well. And we basically, both of us became lost because we didn't have like a proper childhood where we would go play to the streets like other children and stuff like that. We would always look over our shoulders and ask ourselves, unyameka upi or utororo upi type things, because we were scared, especially during the week. And there's a little that I could have done, I could do as well during the week as a child. I could not stay at home until 9 p.m. Eventually I have to come home. So he was there to protect me, and to a point where there was a time that my brother, at the age of 18, he would carry a knife in his pocket because that's his way of protecting us from what was happening.
There was also somebody who played protector of sorts at some point in your life?
Yes, my brother's friend. They studied together at boarding school and high school, and luckily the house we moved in, he stayed next door to our house. So
this is your brother's friend? Yes,
this is my brother's friend. So whenever my brother was not around, I knew that he was around as well. To me, he was a bigger brother as well because he was older than me as well. He was basically the same age as my brother. Yeah, so whatever I needed, he'll be there. When I needed bread, when my grandmother's not around, he'll provide for it. When I need to buy books or whatnot, he'll help me out. Yeah.
But this help at some point then turned into betrayal?
Yes. Yes, he did. It was a Friday evening when one of his friends came to the house to say, they used to call him Uncle around. Uncle is calling for you. I was like, oh, okay, because I'm used to him. And I was comfortable. And I went around the house to his house, and he called me into the bedroom. His bedroom is directly close to my bedroom at home. And then I got inside the bedroom, we started talking. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
We started talking. I was asking, how's everything at school? How was my week? As usual. Do I need anything? I told him. And that weekend, the following weekend, I was supposed to go for Eastern Cape Provincials, where we had to go play with different schools. At that time, I was big in netball at that time. So anyway, I got in, we sat as usual, he brought me food, kept asking me if I was okay and whatnot. And I didn't notice while that was happening, his boys were closing the door so that I'm not able to go out. And then, yeah, that's when he grabbed me, took off my clothes, and then he raped me. And then he did whatever he could. I stayed in after that 3 hours. He was telling me never to tell anyone. If I tell anyone, he'll make sure that he'll kill my brother and he will kill my grandmother. And the sad thing is that around the area, people would always tell me not to get close to him. But I was like, no, man, there's nothing wrong with uncle because he protects me. He makes sure that I've got everything. That's when I realized why people were warning me. Yeah.
Obviously a very difficult time for you, understandably so. 2 years after this, you decided to leave the Eastern Cape for Joburg?
It was not directly 2 years, because after that my grandmother got sick. And this was the time when now my brother was working, and he was working outside of Eastern Cape, and I had to take over my grandmother. And unfortunately my grandmother had stroke, so she was bedridden and all of that, but I had to take her over because she had no one else but me. And then I realized I can't stay in that house anymore because...
Had you spoken to anyone about this incident? Was anybody able to offer you support?
No, I didn't. I didn't tell anyone because...
Had he instilled that much fear in you?
Yeah, it did. Because what he would do as well, early in the morning, when I would go to school, he would stand in the gate and he would pretend when I'm with my friends walking to school, why didn't I come and get money for food or something like that. So it was still a confusing time for me because as much as I knew something wrong happened, at the same time I trusted this person and I thought I knew him, and to a point where everyone else around the area said this person is dangerous. I was the only one who said, no, he's not. He's my brother's friend. He's my uncle, basically. So he won't do such bad things to me. So I decided, you know what, I can't tell anyone. So I didn't tell anyone. The only time I told someone was when my grandmother, a week before my grandmother passed away, because I felt like the secret was too heavy on me. I had to tell someone. And I had to get out of there because if I stayed in Eastern Cape, I don't think I'll be sitting here with you today.
So you eventually moved from the Eastern Cape to Joburg?
Yes, yes.
That experience?
For me, it started as an escape, and it started as me trying to run away from my problems. And then, my story coming to Joburg. To Joburg, I came with 50 rand in my pocket.
Wow.
And then I had just one bag that I got previously because of national team, previous year because I've made USA's national team. So I got the big small bag. So I carried everything that I could in that small bag. I had 50 rand. I had nothing, nowhere to stay. I had no friends in Joburg. But luckily, I was seen by a head coach from UJ, Mandla Gema. I guess he saw something in me, and then he said, no, I need you to come to Joburg. I was like, I'm coming.
Well, I'm going to ask you to hold that thought. This is a Cope. We are speaking to Nosipho. Absolutely incredible story. When we come back, she'll tell us her first couple of years in Joburg, and then obviously about the man that she met, who was later to become her husband. Before the break, Nosipho made her great escape to the city of Johannesburg. Nosipho, thank you for staying with us. That move to Johannesburg changed your life.
Yes, it did. I remember 2005, I came to Joburg for a coaching course because I was still at home. I was coaching little ones. And then when I came to Joburg, I knew that I needed to move from home. And then 2006, we had USA's. That's when I met this guy. We had USA's, and Eastern Cape, we were hosting. Basically, we were the underdogs of the tournament. The great thing with that tournament is that I ended up with the bursary, and that's when my move to come to Joburg started. I went to University of Johannesburg. And yes, when I came to Joburg, as I said before, I had 50 rand in my pocket, and I had one bag and my grandmother's blanket. That's it. I had nowhere to stay and nothing. And luckily, because of the gentleman that I met, who was my head coach, he basically paid everything for me, like a place to stay and meals. He made sure each and every day until I enrolled at school, I was fed and I had a place to stay.
So what was your relationship like with men in general? Obviously, you're expected to trust this gentleman, an individual you trusted before had let you down.
I didn't want a man next to me based on everything that has happened. The only person that I would, at that time, I would want next to me was my brother. And even with my brother, because we never had a brother-sister relationship, we always had like a protective sister role, because that's what he did for me. Basically, to say it, I hated men. I didn't want any guy next to me. And to a point where even my physique and everything, I changed it because I wanted to be strong. And I told myself no one ever would lay their hands on me ever again. And no one would do what happened to me. And yeah, so I became like a tomboy.
Mbulelo, coming to you, you met this tomboy. And obviously you saw an amazing woman. Did you feel that she was defensive? Could you feel her hatred towards men?
Not necessarily. It wasn't there. And from where I was, I came in as a teammate into the picture. So whatever we do, in my eyes, she was my teammate. So whatever she needed, I'd try and be there. If she needed someone to talk to, probably needed anything, I would just try and be there. And that's how the relationship of a close friend started, because that's when we start sharing information about each other. I was also going through my things in my own little world, and she was that shoulder that I could cry on, and she would give me that sort of motivation in order to get through that hurdle. So throughout my varsity life, she was someone that could help me to just run over that hurdle, to just say it's okay, it's part of life. People do things like that. You just need to stay strong and pursue your dreams.
Nosipho, at what point did you feel you could trust Mbulelo enough to talk to him about your past experiences and obviously all that was going on in your life?
It took a while because, as I said, I didn't want to trust again. But one thing that made me to confide in him and talk to him about everything that is happening to me was the fact that he loves his mom. He loves his mom. He protects his mom. And that's one of the reasons I started getting close to him. And the second reason was that the way he would talk about family, because I never had a mom and a dad. So he kind of taught me that. And then most of all, he was the first one when when I started be comfortable now dating and all of that, he will tell me that that guy is not good for you. So you need to look, these are the red flags you need to look for. This is a good guy for you. So basically he taught me things that I didn't see myself when a man will basically play around with me and all of that. So he taught me that. And that is when I felt I was comfortable enough now to let him know where I'm coming from, my background, because he was the only person that I would talk to about anything, because I'm not a big talker in terms of emotional things, but I would be comfortable in talking to him. And yeah, so I started opening up to him and then telling him what was happening, and then he started as well telling me what his problems, and basically our bond started with helping each other out, cope with basically our problems. Girlfriend problems in his life, boyfriend problems in my life. Yeah. So yeah, that's when and most of all, he had a way of making me comfortable and in basically opening up and talking about anything that I needed to talk about at that time.
Something also that happened in your life was the attempted suicide.
Yes.
What brought that about?
Going back to everything that has happened, remember coming to Joburg, now I had to deal with everything that I'm leaving behind. And that's when I had to know who Nosipho was. And that confusion part and remembering everything that happened to me, it overwhelmed me to a point where I didn't want to revisit everything that has happened. So the first encounter, it was when I broke up with a boyfriend, and he cheated on me, and I was like, okay, here again, a man is disappointing me again. And what's worse is that he cheated on me with my teammate. And it was a teammate that basically I trained to come play in the team, because at that time at UJ, I was the captain of the team. And so basically everyone would look up to me, and I would hide my pain because I didn't want people to judge me because of that. And as much as he didn't know what was happening with me, but he was a second person that I was close to, except Umbulelo.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I did what I did, and then my world fell apart. And yeah, my first suicide, I took pills, and I landed in hospital.
And then there was a second incident?
The second incident was when now I'm done in school. Again, I'm trying to find who I am, and I started now to be around people that today I wouldn't be around. Like girls who would love rich men and stuff like that. That's not me. And bit by bit, I kind of wanted that life, although I knew that it was not my life. And then I became confused again. And in terms of, I started failing at school now, and I would not pass. I would study, but when it came to a test, I wouldn't write anything. I started drinking, I started partying, I started being back wild, basically.
Yeah.
And then I realized that I'm not worthy, and I don't want to be here. And I attempted my second suicide.
Now, post these incidents, where did you then draw your strength? What was that turning point?
Him. There was a time I stayed outside school, Delem Village. I rented a place there, so he would he would come and make sure that I'm fine. He would sleep downstairs and make sure that I'm okay, I'm not doing anything stupid. And basically he started again to protect me again. And then he started showing me that, no man, you are worthy than this. You are bigger than this. We're friends, and I'm not gonna let you destroy your life, type of thing.
Bulelo, what is it that you saw in your future wife? Was it she'd be a great wife, or was it just something else?
I've got a passion in sports, so I deal a lot with kids. And what I love to do is not to see what they are currently, but to see what they have and what they can give to the future. So I saw exactly the same thing. She's a powerful woman, she's a strong woman. And every time it pains me for a person not to see their potential. So I wanted to just be the mirror for her to just look through and see how powerful she can be as an individual. So with each and every time that I'd be with her, I'd speak to her, I'd try and voice that out in a lot of different ways that I could.
And at what point did you realize that this is the woman that you wanted to be your partner for the rest of your life?
We've been friends for probably 11 years, and with all that time, there was no thought of a relationship. For me, I just wanted what's best for her. But at the same time, to see a person go through emotional, spiritual pain the way that she went through, I couldn't take it anymore. So, I mean, I've been playing a protective role in her life for a while, and I just wanted to bring her to my side and let her be with me, because I'd rather have her in the pain that she's in when she's with me than with someone outside. So that's when the relationship thing started to be strong, because I saw a mother, I saw a wife, I have a friend in her. So what more than to be in a relationship with that person?
Absolutely beautiful. Yeah. I suppose, Nosipho, as we wrap up, going back those years, what would you tell an 18-year-old Nosipho today?
Sure. Forgive yourself, talk to someone, and most of all, know that what happened to you is not your fault. And I don't want to say for a short period, but I had an angel in my life, my grandmother. One thing she taught me was that never back down when you believe in something, because she was my supporter in everything that I wanted to do. And sometimes I would think something is too small, and she would tell me, no, nothing is too small. If you want to do something, do something. So I would tell my 18-year-old me, move on and fly and be a queen, because that's what you are. Yeah.
Never back down.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Mbulelo, I think you're absolutely exemplary as a pillar of strength in Nosipho's life. We certainly thank you for the role that you've played, and thank you for coming onto the show.
Thank you for
As
having
well,
us.
thanks so much for coming onto the show. We're back again next week at the same time, and remember, together we can. Goodbye.